Most mornings start exactly the same way. You wake up, roll over, grab your phone, and lie in the dark staring at a screen while waiting for your brain to magically switch on. The moment you do that, you hand the first decisions of your day over to whatever happened to post overnight. Your attention becomes entirely reactive, and you kick off a cheap dopamine cycle that shapes your thinking around someone else's agenda. By the time you finally drag yourself to your desk, you start checking emails and responding to messages that could easily wait. You are burning your best cognitive fuel on low-value tasks, ensuring the tank is half empty before you even touch your important work. Then, noon hits, and the brain fog rolls in. The standard response is to push through the dip with caffeine, force more output, and treat absolute exhaustion like a badge of honor. High-level focus is a biological output. To actually maximize how your mind works, you have to stop treating your brain like an infinite machine and start managing it as an energy economy. The animated timeline shows a perfectly synchronized sleep and wake schedule. Every cognitive habit depends on this foundation. Picking a wake time and holding it 7 days a week locks in your circadian rhythm, preventing social jet lag that ruins focus. With that clock set, your brain needs an immediate biological trigger. Stepping outside so natural sunlight hits your eyes, within the first hour of waking, initiates a cortisol pulse. That single action sets your alertness arc for the entire day. Noradrenaline is the chemical responsible for focus. A 30-second cold shower spikes this metric by 300%. Your brain learns physical discomfort doesn't require a meltdown. As the shock levels off, that adaptation carries a newly elevated baseline into your day. These morning habits function as deliberate, physical interventions used to manufacture the exact high-energy neurochemical state required to perform at your peak. Now that you've generated that energy, you have to protect it. That means leaving the phone face down for a full hour, keeping the brain clear of artificial stimulation before the real work begins. You have a tight biological window. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex problem solving, is at its absolute freshest in the first 2 hours after waking up. This is when you tackle the single hardest, most important task on your list. Doing the heavy lifting early sidesteps the trap of willpower depletion, getting the work done long before your brain has time to start negotiating. The ultradian rhythm dictates how we sustain attention. It shows a peak of high alertness lasting roughly 90 minutes, followed by a biological dip where focus naturally drops. Your attention operates in waves, and working against those cycles destroys your output. Efficiently allocating your mental fuel means working directly with those biological peaks. You output higher quality work when you protect your prefrontal cortex from the noise and lean into the brain's natural cycles. When it comes to building new neural pathways, passive consumption produces familiarity, but skill requires effortful practice. Watching a video about playing chess is entirely different from playing chess badly and losing. To test if you actually understand a concept, try explaining it to someone else using plain language. The physicist Richard Feynman built an entire learning system around this observation. If you can't explain it simply, you just memorize the words. This is why rereading your notes feels productive, but usually isn't. Closing the book and forcing yourself to pull the information from nothing, active recall, is the friction required to create durable, long-term memory. That physical reinvestment extends to your body, too. Regular strength and cardio training improves how efficiently your neurons use glucose, floods the brain with a protein called BDNF, and physically prevents your memory center, the hippocampus, from shrinking over time. Easy inputs create the illusion of progress. Deliberate friction, whether it's straining to recall a fact or pushing through a workout, is the biological mechanism that actually upgrades your cognitive hardware. Eventually, you will hit a mental wall. The instinct is to stare at the problem harder, but forcing the answer out actively blocks your brain from processing solutions in the background. The immediate override is getting up and moving. Walking increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. In fact, Stanford researchers found that creative output increases by an average of 81% while you are actively walking. Later in the day, when that heavy mental fog sets in, you are dealing with a buildup of adenosine. A midday power nap is the exact biological tool needed to clear that chemical accumulation. NASA studied this extensively in pilots and found that a strict 26-minute nap improved alertness by 100%. The duration is the key variable. Going past that 26-minute mark pushes you into deep sleep, leaving you groggy and worse off than before. If you don't have time for a nap and stress hits hard, you can use the physiological sigh. 2 quick inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long exhale through the mouth, acts as an instant brake pedal for your nervous system. Strategic rest provides the necessary physiological intervention to clear out the junk, drop your heart rate, and reset the system for the rest of the day. The final step in the cycle happens right before you go to sleep. Taking 3 to 5 quiet minutes to mentally review what you learned and the hard tasks you accomplished sets up the night. This mental replay acts as a flagging system. You are explicitly telling your brain's overnight filing process what information matters enough to consolidate into long-term storage and what can be safely discarded by morning. It also forces your attention inward. Stepping away from external inputs naturally eases your nervous system into a restorative state. Systematically generating alertness and protecting focus allows you to take direct control of your biological balance sheet and expand your brain's total capacity.